Welcome to the You Change podcast. My name is Kate Barron. This is the podcast where I talk to people in the entertainment industry about moments in their life that have changed them. And today I'm here with the wonderful musician, artist, comedian, funny boy, sweetheart, lovely writer, everything, actor, Josh Weller. Is that everything?
Yeah, failed musician.
But musician.
Ex-musician.
But you can still play music.
Yeah.
And seduce people with it.
That's not...
I didn't include
wouldn't
that
be
you
a
were
comedian if that
a
had been the
Frasier
case.
Crane lover.
Oh, I'm a big...
I watched 2 episodes of Frasier this morning and I thought about you.
Which two?
I watched the one where Daphne is pregnant.
Oh, God.
And yeah.
Wait,
and
hold on. There's 2 Daphne pregnant.
No. It's the real not the fake her hiding her pregnancy. It's that was so dumb when they pretended like she gained all that weight.
It's the worst.
It's so dumb.
Firstly, we don't need... what's changed me is Frasier. Let's just talk about that for the whole podcast. But it's like, after Daphne and Niles get together, a huge element of Frasier just falls off a cliff.
Yeah.
And they write her very differently. And
Yeah.
I sort of don't care about the show as much after season 6,
Yeah.
7. But when she gets pregnant in real life, they send her to fat camp.
Yeah. They're like, you've gained a lot of weight. And I'm like,
It's the most 90s
it's so dumb.
TV writing that like a bunch of men smoking in a room were like, how are we going to get rid of this broad? See?
Yeah.
Why couldn't they have just had her be pregnant?
Yeah, and then she was pregnant right after. So this was the one where she was fake pregnant in the show, and Niles.
No, oh, okay, sorry.
Like she was pregnant, and her character was pregnant, and then Niles was getting the sympathy things and rubbing his nipples, and they were interviewing doulas and stuff. And Martin had just gotten engaged.
Yeah, that's a good episode.
And Frasier was going all through the matchmaker service. And
have you noticed in the later seasons that they start filming in HD?
Yeah. Because even
it
does ruin it, and even in because I watch everything like on my iPad. So my iPad is like this, but then it always like the earlier ones are always the square.
Yeah.
And so it widens it. I like it too.
Do you watch it on a streaming service or do you watch it on Channel 4?
A streaming service.
Yeah, on Paramount.
No.
Okay. What do you watch it on?
A very legal, allowed one that I'm allowed to watch things
with a
on.
VPN. Okay, fine. All right. I don't think it matters. I think you can say
No, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, no, I have this app basically that my boyfriend downloaded for me, and he's just I basically just was like, don't tell anyone about this. You can watch anything you want. And I can watch literally live TV channels in Canada, or I watch Australian TV in real time when it gets released in Australia. Like it's amazing. It's like the best app ever.
A couple of years ago, I took my friend. So there's an opera singer that my friend's brother loves, and he has Down syndrome, and we took him to the gig because he was dying to go.
Yeah,
and it was the cutest thing I've ever seen. It was in the Royal Albert Hall, and about like an hour and a half in, he started getting a bit like antsy, and my mate Simon was like, "Okay, well, let's go," and I was like, "Yeah, let's go. Let's take him home."
Yeah,
and, so he doesn't freak out in this big room. And as we left, I stood up and I realized that Kelsey Grammer was sat in front of me. And how quickly I went from being a nice friend to like, fuck off, I'm going to stay.
Yeah.
And I just sat behind Kelsey Grammer.
You for sure said, you really said.
I was completely frozen, starstruck. I didn't say anything to him, but it did cross my mind.
Just to know you were in the presence of Kelsey Grammer.
I was sort of hoping he'd turn around and be like, oh, you look cool.
Does that happen to you a lot?
No.
People turning around. You do look cool. You do. Yes, you are. You know you're fucking cool. You have, yes, don't look at me like a creep. You know you're cool because you're like a fucking hipster. You're like,
Am I a hipster?
Yeah, you are.
But I hate hipsters so much.
No, but you hate yourself. I hated fat people when I was fat.
I'm a self-hating hipster.
You're a self-hating hipster. I just saw, that guy who was on Grey's Anatomy?
Yeah.
He just put out like some post about how he was like friends with people in the Klan. Yeah, I swear to God, he grew up like knowing the Klan members and growing up in Texas and stuff like that. And people are like, bro, what the fuck? And maybe you're just that, but like not the Klan, but it's like hipsters.
Yeah.
You are. I know you're a hipster. Don't even look at you. You're in a fucking tweed blazer, like
in a hot room.
In a hot room, looking like some professor. Like
this looks like a podcast studio, but it is a sea container.
Yeah, it is.
It's an unair conditioned.
It's an unair conditioned container that I've spent hours in, hours and hours.
And when it gets to the summer and you're recording in here, you're gonna hate yourself.
Why do you think I'm batch recording now? So I don't have to be here in the summer. I can just like line up all the podcasts. How are you? How's life? You've been sick.
Yeah, I had a stomach flu.
You went to Hotlanta.
I went to New Jersey.
Oh, Jersey.
New
I thought you were in
Jersey.
Atlanta.
No, Atlantic City.
Oh, Atlantic City. Yes.
Yeah, the home of many songs. I spent 2 days in Atlantic City, and I realized why Bruce Springsteen songs are all about leaving New Jersey. Every
Aw.
single Springsteen.
Did you
song.
go to Coney Island, or have you been to Coney Island before?
I've been, but not on this trip. I didn't go to New York.
What do you think of Coney Island?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like very.
I just like. I know I shouldn't say this, but I don't really like America.
I mean, it's okay to say.
I understand that it's important in entertainment, and
Yeah.
but I like walking around. Like if you're in a pub and someone's an asshole in England, you know you're not going to get shot.
Yes.
And that
Yeah.
really freaks me out in America.
Are you always thinking about that?
Yeah, and also I like a salad
Yeah.
as well, which in America you're fucked.
You can get a salad, but it's gonna be 4,000 calories.
Yeah, not in New Jersey. You
Oh.
can't get a salad.
No.
You can get crack really
yeah.
easily.
I don't know if I've ever been to New Jersey, actually. Maybe like through on my way to the airport, because like
I mean, I'm
Newark's
glad I
there.
went. I had a great time.
Yeah.
But
What's Atlantic City like?
It's
Just sad Vegas.
It's sort of like if Vegas had herpes. That's what it's.
Vegas
you
has
know?
herpes
Yeah.
and birthed Atlantic City.
Yeah. It goes like Vegas, Reno, Atlantic City.
Reno's higher than Atlantic City.
Yeah, God, yeah. I would rather go to Reno.
Oh, I've never been to Reno.
Do you like, you know the REM song All the Way to Reno?
I thought you were gonna say IRA for some reason. I'm like, are they big over there?
All the way to Reno.
Yeah, no, I know Reno, but I don't I know of it. My dad went there, I guess not that long ago, with my brother to do like to see a vintage car show because he's all into old cars. So my brother took him. I'm like, how was it? My brother's just like, yeah.
It was great. I had a good
lot.
time. Saw the Jonas Brothers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Joe Bros.
Joe Bros. Did you get to meet them?
Did not meet the Joe Bros.
Would you have wanted to meet them?
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I get it.
They're no Kelsey Grammer.
They are no Kelsey Grammer.
The fact that do you not love? I think David Hyde Pierce I love more than Kelsey Grammer.
I think David Hyde Pierce is.
He's so odd, and I love him.
He's the greatest. So him and Michael Richards.
Yeah, physical comedy.
The two greatest physical comedians. And Michael Richards, obviously, I mean, he shot himself in the foot a bit.
Yeah.
Doing his comedy set, but it was 20 years ago. And he was just in the moment.
Yeah.
He's not racist.
Yeah.
He was just a bad stand-up.
Right.
And so, but he was lauded as this amazing physical comic. But you watch the Frasier episode where it's Valentine's Day.
We watched that together.
And David Hyde Pierce is prepping the ironing board.
And the blood and the falling over.
The butterfly effect of how a little bit of thread leads to him burning down his brother's flat.
Yeah.
And it's all done in about 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have any lines.
It's so beautifully written.
It's the best. And that's what Frasier was great at is the farce episodes.
Yeah.
So my favorite Frasier episode is one called, I think it's called The Ski Lodge.
Oh my gosh. And then there's the misunderstanding of the rooms and the whole, yeah.
Yeah, Daphne takes her friend there, Frasier, Niles Martin, and then there's a ski instructor there. And there's this one scene where they're watching some deer like nuzzling.
Yeah.
And then Frasier looks at Daphne's friend. Daphne's friend looks at Niles. Niles looks at Daphne. Daphne looks at the ski instructor, and the ski instructor looks at Niles.
Yeah.
And you get the whole episode in 8 seconds. You're like, oh my God, this is perfect farce.
It is.
It's just a great show. It doesn't get enough credit.
No, oh my God, because people who love it. And then people are just like, whatever. And it's a bit old school. So people, I feel like this would be maybe boring for some, but I fucking love it.
No, well, for me, Frasier was always a late night sitcom. It was on like after ER. Or it was on after.
Oh my God, ER is so good. I rewatched that recently. Great, holds up.
Well, there was a thing called Big Thursdays on Channel 4 in the 90s. And it was like Friends, ER, Frasier.
Yes.
I think was the running order. And, but a lot of people associate Frasier as a breakfast show. Because after Frasier finished, they started putting it on at like 8 in the morning, but they heavily edited it.
Why would you need to edit Frasier?
Because some of it's, I guess some of it is
like risque.
Is it? So they changed some of it, and now people see it as like something that while their kids are getting ready for school, so it's like it's triggered with all these like stress memories for people, like they're going to work and they don't want to leave and they've got to take a shit.
Oh no, that's so not the time for that show.
Yeah, it's a late night show.
It is a late night show.
Yeah, and it's why I wear tweed in a big way, I think. Do you drink sherry? I have sherry in my kitchen. I bought it and I put it in a thing. Just so you can have a glass of sherry? Yeah, but I hate it. I don't think I've ever had sherry. Should we have a glass of sherry and watch Frasier together? I would absolutely love that. Yeah, can we do that? Yeah, yes. Yes. Well, we've done that. We've drank tea and watched tea and watched it. But we're not really You're
not
not a drinker.
really.
You don't drink.
I do drink, but not a lot. But I would have a glass of sherry with you and watch Frasier.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's do that.
I think we should
I would
absolutely
love
do that.
Yeah.
And life outside of Atlantic City and everything, life is good. You're good.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. I mean,
You're getting ready for
some. Yeah. I'm in a. I can't say it yet. When does this come out?
probably in a few weeks.
I'm in a couple of TV shows, but one comes out at the end of June.
Yeah. Then we won't say it, but I'll tag you and everything, and then people
It's
can
a
find you from
Netflix show,
that. Yes.
and it's got swords in it.
That's right. That's like half the Netflix shows.
That's true. Yeah. So I'm in a couple of episodes of that, which we filmed.
You've been absolutely smashing it with. You have been though. You've been getting loads of stuff, lots of cool acting stuff. I feel like you're just like you're going up.
We'll see. Yeah.
No, it's good. See, this is
See how much they cut me out of the.
That's
until
true.
you see the edit.
Oh God, that would just be so heartbreaking if you see the edit and you're just out.
I did the best bit of that show was obviously filming it for like 2 months was amazing, and without saying what it is, but I did the ADR and I'd never done ADR. So
what's ADR?
So like I was.
Oh, that's the readback.
Yeah, one of the episodes I was filming on this big boat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're catching. I can't say his name, but they're catching the main guy's
Yeah.
audio because he's it's his show.
Yeah.
And he has a sword. And all the other actors, they're just like, just say your fucking lines and we'll record your lines afterwards.
Yeah.
So you go into the studio, and it was one of the most vindicating moments of my life when it was like all the podcasting that no one listened to and all the open mic. Suddenly when they were like, can you just say something funny here?
Yeah.
And I had the whole room like the producers of the show in hysterics, and like, that was a really cool moment.
It does feel so good when you can just like, especially as somebody who's like a newer or like a lower level person on a set or in any room, to have them. I did like a voiceover thing with this company, and we were in there and there was people on Zoom listening to it. So like the director was on Zoom, one of the producers, and there was the voiceover guy, whatever. So there's 2 people in the room, 2 people on Zoom watching you, and they're asking you to read lines and read it differently. So I'm just like cracking jokes and doing that. And then when you can have them laughing, it's great.
Good,
it feels good because then
Yeah.
you go, yes, this is why we do what we do. Like this is our advantage over other people who are just voiceover artists or just actors. That comedians can bring an extra level of something to the table.
Yeah, and I'm not I didn't go to acting school.
No,
right?
yeah.
I took a few classes. I panicked when I got the part and went to an acting coach, a guy called Lee Knight, who was great. And he would just make me do my stand up, and then when he clicked his fingers, I had to go into the lines because his thing was like, just be you.
Yeah.
That's why you got it. Don't act because you're not good. and that was it was I was so nervous on the first show I did, and I did my lines over and over and over and over and over again
on set or practice,
like just in my head,
Yeah.
and in front of a mirror, and like in the shower, and I had an app that says the other lines so you can, and it leaves a
that's
gap where
great.
yours is.
Yeah.
And then on the most recent show I did, I heard, and which was a drama, I listened to Kieran Culkin from Succession.
Yeah, I love him.
Or from was he in Father of the Bride? Was that the other?
Yeah, no, he was in.
Or was it the other Culkin brother?
No, it was Kieran, right? I think it was Kieran.
I'm not sure.
I love him though in Succession. He's so.
Have you seen the?
No, I haven't seen the finale. Don't tell me.
Oh my god!
Don't tell me. I've seen.
No, I won't. But oh my god!
Oh my god! I know.
But I saw him say that he never says his lines before he gets on the set, and partly because I'm lazy, I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And then the other thing I heard was I watched an interview with Damon Wayans from Scary Movie, and he said that drama is the same as comedy. So you use all the trauma from your life to write the comedy beat, then you don't say the punchline. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll just do that.
Oh, I like that.
Because I get killed in this other show, this new show.
Oh, was it a good did you have to be like
No, I get taken away to a gulag and tortured.
Oh, that's fun.
And I don't know if I can say who it's with.
No, you don't need to say who it's with.
It's someone from Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I was freaking out.
Yeah. Are you a huge Star Wars fan?
Yeah, and there was a bit where, because I'm in the kitchen and they had all these pots, but with like basically like diffusers in them, so steam comes out. But
Yeah.
obviously you can't have the kitchen pots on fire.
Yeah.
And these diffusers are like this shape with a blue light on. So there was a blue light coming out the pot, and the guy from Star Wars came over and like opened the pot and was like, "You making blue soup?" And I was like, "No." And they both look like lightsabers.
Yeah.
And I didn't say anything, and he went, "Oh, they look." And I was like, "Yeah, they look like lightsabers." And he's like, "Yeah, cool, glad you said it." And that was it's been
That's a cool fucking
weird couple of
experience.
months, yeah.
That is so cool. Well, This podcast is all about change and things that we've gone through. So what is something in your life that you've gone through? Again, it doesn't need to be like this huge monumental life change. It can be whatever, something that's kind of altered your path in your life.
Well, I mean, I was a professional musician. I said professional. I tried to be a professional musician.
You had a record contract.
Yeah, but I got dropped.
But you had a
within
record
a year.
contract. That's professional.
Yeah, but then getting dropped within a year
It was a brief profession.
Yeah, it was briefly professional. And that's what my Edinburgh show is about as well. It's like the year that I got a record deal.
Yeah.
And
how old were you when that
23.
happened? 23 and getting a record deal. You must have just felt like, this is it.
Oh, yeah. I got like, they
This is
gave
it.
me £60,000 as an advance. You know what you shouldn't give a 23-year-old?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you do? What's the best thing you did with the £60,000?
I bought a Mercedes on the day I know. I bought Mercedes and got chlamydia on the same day.
Please tell me that last part is true.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And you think you're not cool.
I don't think that's cool. I don't have it anymore, by the way. I took
The Mercedes? You still have the chlamydia.
Yeah. I got so many tickets for the car.
You got a Mercedes and chlamydia on the day you got a record
Yeah, but it
deal.
wasn't like a sports car. It was an A-Class,
Okay.
which was like a little. They look like those Addison Lee Ford Galaxies.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Like taxis. They look like taxis
Yeah.
in London, but it was pre-Uber.
Right.
So I would just be like, one time I was just sat in traffic at King's Cross with like my guitar in the back, CDs everywhere, and this woman just got in the back and was like, "Ladbroke Grove, please." Yeah. It happened so many times that I'd get flagged, and like maybe 5 times that people just got in the car.
Have you talked about this on stage before?
No, and while I'm saying it, I feel like it should go in my Edinburgh show. So remind me.
It absolutely should. That is ridiculous and actually funny.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that. I saw this Mercedes the other day actually, and it was like it was a big sedan, and I was just like, to me, I used to think Mercedes were very status symbol, and now I go, oh, you're a driver. Like you're an Uber Black.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, or is that what they are? The Uber Blacks are the
because sometimes you book an Uber and it's the nice Uber who's not got any work.
Yeah.
So you get in like an Uber Lux and it's like blue light on the floor, and you're like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah. And there's a little cocaine mirror in the back seat and everything ready to go. The fun times. So walk me through pre-record deal. You grew up playing music. What did you play? How'd you get into it?
Yeah, I had piano lessons. My parents sent me piano lessons, and then one day my piano teacher went to the toilet and I ran away and just ran home. I was like 6 years old.
I will never go to the toilet on you again.
And then of my own accord, I started listening to like punk rock when I was about 9.
Yeah.
And like the Smashing Pumpkins and indie rock and stuff.
Were your parents into music? Where they always had it on?
Yeah, they were, but they weren't like hip. They just had a really broad taste. Like my mum's Mauritian, so she liked a lot of French music.
Yeah.
But she also liked a lot of glam rock. Like The Sweet was a band that I remember loads from. You know the song Ballroom Blitz?
Oh, yeah.
The end of Wayne's World?
Yeah, of course. Well, Wayne's World is one of my favorite movies of all time.
And that was a song by The Sweet. And then my dad really liked like Elvis Costello and folk and Kaylee music and stuff like that. So, and rock music and Elton John and just good songwriters.
Yeah.
So I started playing the drums, and then I started listening to like Blink-182 and Green Day and stuff like that.
It's still so funny that you call them Blink-182.
182, yeah.
182.
Who are back together.
Yeah, so weird.
I'm so excited.
It'll be interesting to like see what they come out with. Or, like,
it's so funny to me that like I think about like if you think of a generation, like a once in a generation band who exists for like 30 years, who after 30 years are still playing stadiums. To me, the first like trigger memory of that was when U2 released Vertigo, and they did that Vertigo tour, and that was like 25 years after their first album, and they played stadiums. And it's so funny to me that what our generation has, a band who 25 years ago released their first album and now playing stadiums, is 3 50-year-old men singing about fucking their dog. It's so funny that that's what we get.
That's
you know
ours.
what I mean? Like our parents' generation got U2 like singing about politics and the troubles in Ireland, and we get "I Want to Fuck a Dog in the Ass."
Oh my God! Is that their new song?
No, it's
it's their old one.
It's the bonus track from "Take Off Your Pants and Jacket."
Oh yeah.
Which I only recently realized the pun of "Take Off Your Pants."
No, you did not.
Yeah, only like 2 years ago.
I thought when I heard that when it came out, I thought that was the funniest thing I'd ever heard in my life.
And Enema of the
I was
State.
like, that's comedy.
Enema of the State is a brilliant album title.
Yeah.
It's a great. It's an amazing.
Which is the one with the nurse and the.
That's Enema of the State.
Oh, great. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then they did Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, and then they got like serious, and I like that self-titled album, but I sort of tapped out around then. And but anyway, yeah. So I was listening to like a lot of punk, so I started playing guitar.
Yeah.
And then I loved it and just wanted to do that all the time. And I was in bands in like Norwich where I grew up. And then
You'd sing and play, right?
like I'm not a good singer. That's really what fucked me. I think I just I just have a bad singing voice.
Okay.
And
But like a punky voice.
it became like I moved to London. I quit playing punk music, and then started as a solo artist with an acoustic guitar. And then I moved to London, and that's what got me a record deal.
Oh.
And then
Wait, you got a record deal as a solo artist?
yeah.
Oh, I thought it was with a band.
No, and then the solo stuff didn't work. So within a year, I'd been dropped.
Mm-hmm.
And then I worked in a toy shop for 4 years behind a till, and then I started a punk band while I was doing that. And then that's where things again started to like steamroll, and we did the Warped Tour and stuff like that, and like Bill Stevenson. So any punk rock fans will know who Bill Stevenson is. He was in Black Flag and he's in the Descendants. And he heard our demo and then produced our record.
Yeah.
And so there was a moment where it looked like that might be a thing, but it just didn't connect. So then the thing that changed me was quitting. There was a day on Warped Tour where the front of house, so the sound engineer, the guy who does the sound for our stage, is called Mason, who was this amazing dude from Chicago who has his name tattooed on his chest, but he was drunk when they got it, so it's spelt wrong.
No. Yeah. Oh my God.
And he was doing our sound, and on this day in like Wyoming or wherever we were playing, like kind of the arse end of nowhere, there was no one. We were about to play and there was no one. And I tapped the mic because I was always first to be finished setting up because I just plugged my pedal board in, plugged my amps in. I was ready to go. Drums and bass take a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And I just started, like, the mic had been left on from the band before, so I just started roasting audience members.
Yeah.
And then by the time we played, Mason came up to me after the gig and was like, I'm going to leave that mic on for the next 40 shows. And you're going to roast every audience.
Really?
Pull in a crowd. Yeah, so he's kind of why I'm a stand-up.
Oh.
Yeah, I kind of owe him everything.
Yeah. So you just went up, roasted them, and then you played a full set.
Yeah, I just rinsed all the like emo bands and the goth bands on the tour, and like, you know, and I pretended that we were them as well. I'd like say we were the headline act, so all the people in the distance would like run over.
Oh my God. That's smart.
Yeah, stupid, pissed off a lot of people.
Well, that's their fault.
But that and then I heard Fred Armisen on a podcast talking about when he quit his punk band.
Yeah.
And those were the kind of the two catalysts when I was like, oh shit, I should quit and do comedy. Really.
Yeah. What, like, did you have any moment of like, was it straight from music basically into comedy? Or did you have any moment of going like, fuck, and feeling down that like music wasn't going to happen for you and music wasn't going to work out?
Yeah. After our bass player left, we got a new bass player who was an amazing musician, a great guy. And I loved playing with him, but it just kind of wasn't the same.
Yeah.
And then our drummer took a gig playing for Hans Zimmer.
Oh, wow.
And then we just weren't on the road.
Yeah.
On the road. We weren't touring. And then, it wasn't, it was more like I'm 31 and how long are my knees and my, like blues and jazz, I always say like that, like if you're a jazz musician, you age like wine. Like you just get better.
Of course.
All that sadness and experience and knowing when to play and when not to play. You get better and better and better. But punk is like you age like bread.
Yeah.
And it's just not.
The whole thing is about youth revolting against the machine, kind of like.
Yeah, exactly. And when you're 30, and also I was 31 and broke. I had no money.
Yeah.
And so I thought I'll do comedy. That's a good way to make it.
Yeah, exactly. Jesus Christ. Although you have done very well in this. And you, the thing is about you though, so you're doing your show. It's going to be like about this and about the music. And I know you do like singing, like parody stuff, but you're not like, I wouldn't consider you a musical act.
No, I work really hard to not.
Would you ever be a musical act? No. Do you like other musical acts?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't dislike any musical.
Yeah.
But for me,
it's just not what you want.
Yeah. It's about, for me, like one of my big, like sort of, oh my God, like I used to get such bad anxiety when the band was going on tour, and it's carried through into comedy a bit. Like I hate traveling. Like I don't like.
Yeah, but you travel a lot as well.
Yeah, and I don't like any of it.
Yeah,
I like doing gigs, but I hate the 23 hours that come before it and after it.
Is it so? What is it that gives you? Is it just the being?
What it is that I leave every comedy gig with a notepad and a pen, and every gig when you finish a musical gig, you have to load out all your gear. You
Yeah.
have to, you sound check. You get to the venue at like 3 p.m.
Yeah.
You plug all your stuff in. You play a gig to no one, get the sound levels right, and then you pack everything down. You wait. You rush up on the stage. You set it up. You play your gig, and then you drive like 9 hours to like a horrible hotel
Yeah.
where you have to find somewhere to park your van that it's not going to get broken into.
Because all your gear's in there.
Yeah, and all night you're like every 2 hours you're like looking out the window to look at the car or the van.
Yeah.
And so that side of it, like for me, even just carrying a guitar, I'm done. Like I'm not.
Yeah.
You know.
I was just talking. Do you know Steve Gribbin? He's a comic.
No.
He's a comic, and he has this guitar, and he said he's had people try to like steal it off him and stuff. And it's just like a basic acoustic guitar too. It's not even like
Yeah.
I'm sure it's nice, but like it's just a fucking acoustic guitar.
Yeah, and it's so hard to who's selling acoustic on the black market. Like you know what I mean?
You can get them on Amazon for like 30 quid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, and also I sort of look at my guitar like a wife I hate. It just sits in the corner of my room, and I'm like, you ruined my life. You know? Like I just like I don't look at it.
Do you name her? What's her name?
No, I never did.
Betty.
Lucille. That was BB King's. BB King's guitar was Lucille.
Oh, that's good. You have I love that you have such like an encyclopedic knowledge of music and musicians, and because it's such a world that like I don't know enough about. Say like I love music, and there's certain people that I know, but like I'm not as in it as you. So I love when you talk about the fact that you even knew his fucking guitar.
Yeah, but it doesn't like I don't know when my dad's birthday is.
Oh my god! Wait,
well,
what?
I know it's in November, but I get But for me, it's like I actually I can talk about like the budget of Home Alone 2 for an hour. Like, but
what was the budget of Home Alone 2?
It's like I think it was 38 million. But like, that might be wrong. It's probably more. But like all the it's like a spectrum thing for me. Like I just remember it like because I care about it so much.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to me to link, how you can get from like Frank Sinatra to the Ramones in like 5 steps is a fascinating thing.
How do you do it? Take me through the 5 steps.
I mean, okay, off the top of my head. So Frank Sinatra, a lot of swing music, got played very heavily in Jamaica, right? It was a lot of swing was played on Jamaican radio. And then they started playing a lot of that music, but it was so hot that they slowed it down, and that became ska, which led to reggae and then dub. So DJs playing with a microphone and a record decks, and that heavily influenced a lot of the British punk music. So when the Clash went out on tour, they had like, they would take dub or ska acts out with them to open, and it was very like cross-genre, cross-race, like rock against racism, which started through punk music, and because Eric Clapton was really racist on stage, that started the rock against racism movement. So you can kind of link them, and then also like you could probably go from Frank Sinatra to the blues, and then the blues to Mick Jagger, and then Mick Jagger to punk.
Yeah.
So there are elements, or maybe Mick Jagger to prog music, and then all the punks hated prog music, which led to punk. So there's ways you can connect all of it. But
have you ever thought about like if comedy wasn't here, would you be working in the music industry?
No.
No, you wouldn't. You don't want to have a desire to be like, I just want to be in the industry no matter what.
No.
But comedy but now this is your thing.
I don't want to be behind the curtain at all there.
Right.
I don't even DJing. I wouldn't want to do it. Even a radio DJ, it's just not interesting to me. I don't think so. I like people looking at me and clapping.
Fucking same here.
Yeah.
Same here. I completely get that. Yeah, because how long have you been doing comedy now?
It's my 4th year.
4th year doing comedy.
Yeah.
Do you ever have like, so getting that record contract is a massive deal, and losing it is equally massive. Were you like, how did you tell people? Were you like embarrassed to tell people? Did you hide it from people? Were you just like,
well, that I got dropped?
Yeah.
Well, I never formally got dropped. I just
so you still have a record deal?
Yeah, probably. I'm probably gonna get sued at some point.
Perfect.
But no, I think it was a 5-year contract, so I'm well out of it now.
Right.
Because I signed in 2010.
Yeah.
And there's a photo of me when I signed the record deal, and I look terrified as well in the room.
I want to see the photo.
Yeah, I'll try and find it. And I mean, I think never got formally dropped. The A&R moved somewhere else, and then my manager quit,
Oh, okay.
and then they just stopped calling.
It just like fizzled out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they kind of just, which is standard practice as well for a lot of recording contracts or publishing contracts.
There's not like a formal like we breaking up with you.
That's just you just get put on the shelf, and if you do something that goes, and it was kind of it was in this weird space in between MySpace, in between SoundCloud, and in between Instagram,
yeah.
where you could make your own career, and it was in this little pocket where you still really relied on a label and backing and financing. So I kind of just fell by the wayside.
Do you think if you had the opportunity to redo that time in your life and redo your career, but it was now with like TikTok and everything,
No,
do you think they would have had a different outcome?
no, I'm just fun. I think I'm better suited to funny.
Yeah.
And I think earnest music, or the other thing as well is like self-awareness in music never really translates as well. Any musician with like humorous lyrics, or like Randy Newman or someone like that,
Right.
as much as he's lauded professionally by a very small pocket of people,
Right.
and he's won a few Oscars and a few Grammys, and made, in my opinion, some of the best albums of all time. Like, he's just not someone that you see as a serious artist in the way that people love Nick Cave.
Yeah.
I don't like Nick Cave. I don't like that serious. Yeah, I mean, I love Rufus Wainwright. I love serious musicians, and I love serious songwriting. But like, I was always a bit too self-aware, and I think that it goes against you. People want earnestness, and people want they want to feel seen. When they listen to music, they want to feel like Adele understands what heartbreak is like.
She does. She understands all of mine.
Yeah, does she?
I fucking love Adele.
Yeah, me too.
Do you?
Yeah, she's great.
Who are your favorite female songwriters or singers?
Joni Mitchell.
Good one.
Blue. I like a lot of jazz vocalists. So like Ella Fitzgerald sings the Cole Porter songbook. I think Hayley Williams from Paramore is the best front person of all time.
Of all time, period.
I think she's the best, yeah. She's like if Debbie Harry could sing. Or like, Debbie Harry, or like Gwen Stefani, but with amazing vocal chops. Gwen Stefani was a great pop star.
Yeah, Gwen Stefani's more of like a character pop star. Yeah. I don't even think she would be under the guise that she has this incredible vocal range.
But if you watch No Doubt Live in Anaheim, and you watch the way she plays with the crowd during Just a Girl, that she does this bit of crowd work where she goes,
oh my God, I love that album. That was off the Orange County album.
And she goes, where are all the, I want all the, it's like all the boys in the room to go, make some noise. And then all the girls, she's like, no, girls, shut up. I meant boys. And then she goes, now all the boys go, I'm just a girl. And then they all sing it. She's like, haha, that was funny. And she's like, what about all the pretty, innocent, like delicate girls? And then she goes, fuck you, I'm a girl. And the whole audience sings it back. And it's like, it's a masterclass in how to be a front man. She has the whole audience, like just in 12,000 people in her hand.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's I think Hayley Williams is like the best. I think Paramore are amazing.
Yeah. Like, people have a hardcore love for them.
Yeah, and the cool thing about Paramore, and I don't think there's anyone else in pop music or rock music like Paramore, where they're reaching a new fan base.
Yeah.
Constantly, but the old fans are embracing the new fans.
Yeah.
Which people can be quite elitist when new
be
people
like,
find
we were here from the beginning. Are you?
Yeah.
Would you consider yourself a music snob, or you're like not really?
No, a nerd, not a snob.
A nerd, yeah. Because you were like, I knew about them, but you're not like, I was here first.
Yeah, and I think those days are gone as well. Like I remember when like Blink-182 did they did a Pizza Hut advert in the early 2000s, and everyone freaked out and was like,
why?
Oh my God, they're selling out.
Because they're sellouts.
Yeah, and I remember when I heard someone in my college singing a song from Outkast's "The Love Below."
Yeah.
And I was like, that's my band. Like, how does that asshole know it?
Yeah.
But that doesn't really exist anymore. I think any musician that can even survive is doing fantastically well.
Anyone who can work in the arts and survive is doing fantastically well. Yeah, like it is so exceptionally hard to work in the entertainment industry, behind the camera or in front of the camera or behind the scenes or whatever. Like it's just not easy. And I know people like, there's the whole thing like, oh, the sad little starlet and all that kind of stuff. But it's true. Like there's like there's something to it where that it's just is fucking anyway. It's fucking hard to do. Yeah, that's really interesting. Do you think like is there any part of you at all? Can I ask what that was?
Oh, sorry, it's a nicotine pouch.
Oh,
So I quit smoking, but yeah.
I was like,
that
what is
gross.
this? And then no, because that's fascinating. So for anyone listening, you like pulled something out, but then
Of my mouth.
of your mouth, but I've never seen you do it. So and I've never really I don't have I seen you smoke?
No, I smoked and I quit for 3 years, and then I went to Italy on my own for 2 days last summer.
And that was enough to send you
I,
back over
I
the edge.
lasted like 8 minutes in a cafe.
Yeah.
And I'd been like smoking since then. And
But when you pulled it out, I literally thought, oh my God, he's pulling a tooth out of his mouth.
yeah, it's like a gross sort of.
And then you put
feedback.
something back in.
Yeah, which is a fresh nicotine pouch.
I love it. So it just sits in there,
Yeah.
but you're able to talk and stuff with it in.
Yeah, it gives me like crazy anxiety. It makes my heart beat really fast. But
When you have that in.
yeah, but I'm just using it to get to not smoking.
Yes. So how long have you been doing these for?
3 weeks.
Would you do the whole vape thing?
No.
Because that's a whole
doesn't
other
work.
addiction. I don't think that helps anyone that I've seen do vaping.
Yeah.
It doesn't help them get them off
No.
smoking. It just helps them get addicted to vaping.
And also, I was vaping in the bath at one point, and I was like, "This is mental. Like, this
Yeah.
is not quitting smoking. This is just smoking in the house
Yeah.
quietly."
Because you can do it anywhere and there's no like that stinky smoke smell.
Yeah.
And because you can do it everywhere, you can do it in the back of comedy shows. There's comedians who I remember used to smoke, but they'd go out every once in a while for a cigarette. But then when they're vaping, they're literally like,
Yeah.
as
And also,
you're talking
how
to them.
annoying is it when you're at like a music gig and someone in front of you is vaping,
I don't get bothered by it.
and they have that giant like Hiroshima plume come out of their mouth?
That doesn't bother me.
It really fucks me off.
Does it? Even though you're a smoker.
Yeah.
Maybe especially because you're a
Yeah,
smoker.
yeah. It really bugs me.
No, I have a weird thing, even just about cigarettes in general. Whenever I was with friends and they would go out and smoke, I would always go out with them because my dad smoked when I was growing up. So it reminds me of like childhood.
It's such a good reset. That's the thing about smoking, is that it's not the quitting smoking. It's the, if you're in a conversation with someone you don't like, you can be like, I'm just going to go out for a cigarette.
Yes.
You know? Or like, if you're really struggling, like, you know.
Just need a minute.
Yeah, you need a minute.
You can't go, oh, I need a brain break. I got to go outside and meditate for
Yeah.
a minute. People go, you're fucking mental. But if you go, I'm going outside for the cigarette.
Yeah. And like when I was working in a toy shop, I remember someone being like, oh, I just want to go for a cigarette. And the boss was like, yeah, go for it. Go outside.
Mm.
And then I just went, I'm just going to go stand outside for 7 minutes. He was like, why? You're working.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
But that's a classic thing with people who smoke, right? They always get to have so many extra breaks.
Yeah.
Because everyone just go, oh, well, yeah, but they have
Yeah,
to smoke.
it's
Like,
so annoying.
it's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
That's why whenever people be like, I'm going for a cigarette, I'd be like, yeah, I'm coming with you. And I would just go downstairs. So I've worked with people before who thought I smoked.
Mm.
Because I'd go out all the time with people who smoked and just kind of stand near them just to be like, get fresh air, get out, just go for a little walk or do whatever. Just, yeah.
Yeah.
Just need to get up and fucking clear your head.
But these things are good. I haven't even thought about smoking.
Oh, shit.
So
That's good.
Yeah, like it's just left my brain, which is half the struggle as well.
Yeah, I'd be afraid I would spit it. Do you take it out during shows? Or do you perform
I
with
take
in?
it out during show. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
100%.
There's nothing that fucking irks me more than somebody who has gum in their mouth while they're on stage.
Yeah.
That's
Dave Grohl does it, and I'm like, dude, you're gonna choke. Like,
you're gonna choke. Two, it just looks. Gum has been a new thing for me where I get really grossed out by people who chew it because there's very few people who can chew gum, like who aren't disgusting because they just go, they're then.
that's such a weird hate.
It just because it's never subtle chewing. It's never subtle. It's never low key. It's always like.
I chew gum a lot. You've never noticed?
Well, okay, so maybe you're one of the few, but most people, like, I just get like I know there's this thing that with sounds and stuff that it's like this disorder or something that you can't handle certain sounds. To me, that I would rather have someone slurping up food and soup beside me than someone chewing gum loudly near me. Like, I'd rather somebody like slurping up some gross food.
Blowing bubbles is an annoying. That is so annoying.
Oh,
That-
that doesn't bother me as much.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that one doesn't bother me
But
as
we've
much.
lost that culturally. That was like a cool thing in the 90s where you could blow a big bubble.
With like what do you mean? Like just a bubble?
You know, you get like Hubba Bubba.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
You could
like bubble gum. Oh,
and
I
it
see, I
burst
see.
in your face.
I think you
And-
meant like bubbles, like soap bubbles that kids do. And
no, it was like a cool thing in like a
Yes.
90s movie where the cheerleader would like
Actually,
blow a big bubble.
Yeah.
And we've totally lost that.
I had that idea for my Edinburgh poster, like whatever many years ago when I was first gonna do Edinburgh. I was like, I know the perfect thing because there's this like really like there's this Marilyn Monroe thing that somebody took and they put like a big pink bubble gum thing over her and I tried to recreate it and it just looked ridiculous. It looked absolutely fucking ridiculous.
Looked like an airbag.
It looked like an airbag coming out of my mouth and I just looked like a fucking psych ward patient that had like lost it completely. So at the end of every podcast, I like to ask people one question.
Sure.
What? I mean, obviously, so you have been through a lot of change. You've done lots of shit. Your life looks different now than you probably thought it was going to. If 19-year-old Josh could see you now, if 19-year-old Josh could see you now, what would you tell him? This isn't the last question, but this is just something I wanted to know.
It's probably the same thing that young comics say to me, which is like, how do I get an agent? And I'm like,
Yeah.
just slow down and enjoy learning to be good, and like learn your craft and be the best.
Yeah.
And don't try and hanging out with other people. You know, when I was a musician, like, you know, if you do 6 shows a week and there's 5 bands on every bill, some of them became really famous.
Yeah.
So I played with some musicians that got really big, and you kind of at one point you're like, oh, maybe if I go to the pub with them or go to the party, that will. And it doesn't help. What helps is actually just doing the gigs or being in your room and learning how to play really well and sing really well. So I say it. I never say it to young comics actually, because I also wouldn't listen.
Yeah, of course. They need to. You got to learn that for yourself.
Yeah, like my friend Jeff, who's a musician who now lives in Florida, who was signed to Geffen Records in the early '90s. So like Pearl Jam opened for his band.
Oh,
and like
shit.
Chili Peppers opened for his band.
Oh my God.
And when my band was like, kind of things were starting to go off the rails, I remember saying to him, I was like, what do I do? Like, how do I make this work? We've got this, you know, I think we've got good songs. Why isn't it connecting? And he just went, dude, if the journey isn't just writing a good song and enjoying it, then you're not doing the right thing. And I remember him saying it, and I remember me thinking, yeah, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Because I was young and stupid. And actually, as I've gotten older, I say it to him all the time, like I spoke to him today. And it's like, it's one of those things that just sits in my head. I was like, yeah, he was absolutely right.
Yeah.
But I also would never have listened when I was 19. Because you have all that fucking...
Yeah, you don't listen to that shit.
All that pent-up energy and jizz. You're just like...
I had the most amount of jizz.
Like, let's go. I need it now. And you think you do. And then as you get older, you go, oh, I should have just been good.
That's it. I think taking the time to get good. So the actual final question is, because you've been through so much change and because you've experienced so much, what is one thing in your life you hope never changes?
I think, I mean, you know, loving getting on stage. Like, being on stage is like, I don't know if you feel this way, but it's the only time I really feel like me. I don't know if you feel that way.
I feel that way in 2 different instances. It's on stage or with my partner. Honestly, I don't think I've ever felt as much myself as when I'm with him. I probably feel more it's those 2 times where I feel like part of myself, but on stage is still a bit of a persona for me.
Yeah.
So it's, but when I'm actually total walls down, guard down is with him. But I know what you're saying as far as like, living in your best version of yourself.
Yeah.
And like, this is where you're meant to be.
Yeah. Even though it's an act.
Yeah.
Even though it's something that you're playing like a heightened version of what you really think, or you're trying to say things that you probably shouldn't say.
Yeah.
Because it connects in some way. But again, like, I'm very reluctant to bring it back to like new comedians as well. Like, I'm very reluctant to ever refer to myself as like the finished article or as like someone that knows what they're doing, because I'm so new still.
Yeah.
And it's a weird thing that you can just call yourself a comedian. You know, you can do 6 shows and go, I'm a comedian now. It's like interior decorators. You just
No, I was really anxious to call myself a comedian. I felt like I couldn't use that title on myself until I was professionally doing it full time.
Yeah.
Until this is the way I make the majority of my income, I didn't think I had a right to call myself that.
Yeah. And I think that...
I mean, that switched for me after a while, but... It's hard to call yourself that.
Yeah, and I think, like, you're comparing yourself to Groucho Marx when you say, I'm a comedian.
Exactly.
And that's a tall mountain to climb.
Yeah.
So I think that, in the future, I hope that I still love it. I hope that never changes. I hope that I can make I hope that it continues to be like I know it sounds silly, but like as I get older, like a source of income is very, very important.
Of course it is.
And I don't take it for granted that I can get paid doing this. It's fucking mental.
Yeah.
And I'm still so new and so green it's 4 years in, but there was a pandemic.
Yeah.
It's really 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So, and I hope that it's something that Claire House said to me. You know Claire House,
Yeah.
Canadian
Of course.
comedian. She was like, she was like, lean into your niche. Like if you're a failed musician, talk about it. If you like Star Trek, talk about it. If you like watching music videos, talk about it. If you like Formula One, just do a podcast about it.
Yeah.
And like all of those things are yielding a return to me, where you're finding a fan base because it's just something that you love.
Yeah.
And like that's maybe the advice it's not the question you asked, but like that's maybe the advice I would give is like, don't think about the broad thing.
Yeah.
Just think about what makes you laugh or what makes your heart skip.
I love that.
And do that. And that's something I hope never changes. But I also hope I keep finding things that I love.
Yes, of course.
As well. Because I don't, I can only ride the Formula One podcast train for so long.
Well, you never know.
Yeah.
And then we'll do like a Frasier Crane. And we should rewatch every single episode and dissect every single episode on a podcast. You and me. While we drink
bring
sherry.
it back, the episode, we're talking about smoking. I was going to mention it earlier. The episode where his agent tries to quit smoking.
Oh, yeah.
It's BB.
BB. Classic BB.
A genius.
It's a beautiful character.
She's her, and have you watched, oh my God, I've forgotten the name of it. It's David Hyde Pierce and the woman who plays Lilith. And it's about that chef who did The Art of French Cooking. Oh my God.
Yes, I have. Julia. Yeah, I have.
Have you watched that?
Yeah, I have.
And like,
wonderful.
You feel that they know how to push each other's buttons.
Yeah.
25 years after Frasier's finished, but
yeah.
they're back on a set together, and you're like, oh my God, I'm watching Niles and Lilith.
Yes.
And yeah, that's magic. But yeah, the episode where she tries to quit smoking is a great. Not that I'm here to promote Paramount Plus.
Sounds like you are.
It's a streaming service that I pay $7.99 a month for.
Do you get Paramount Plus just
only,
for Frasier?
Only for and it's got all the Star Trek content now as well. So.
Oh, you're such a dork.
Yeah.
But I love you for it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Rate, review, subscribe, do all of the things. Okay, bye.
That was great.
Yeah, that was fun. I like that. That was good.